Dear students, I would like to pass on to the next part, something related to the adolescence period, that is your period from between 12th year to the 19th year, that is what is called as the teenage group. That period is called as the adolescence period, between 12th year to the 19th year. Now, what is happening during that adolescence period when it begins? Then what are the impacts of alcohol and drug abuse during that period? Normally the adolescence period begins with a period of rapid physical and then what is called the sexual development. That period is called what is known as the puberty, attaining maturity. That we can say puberty to maturity. Between the age of 12 to 19 years. So that period is called adolescence period. We can have remarkable changes in the physique of the body as well as changes in the mind also. That results in some changes related to the what is called the effect to society. So it is a period of also we can say dynamic period. Then during that period one should normally just resist to various impacts on them to overcome various impacts in the form of just a pure pressure or in the form of drug abuse, etc. So adolescence period begins with a period of rapid physical and sexual development. That is called puberty to maturity from the age of 12 to 19 years. I mentioned already it is not a static period, it's a dynamic period, very active period of psychological changes, that is in the mindset and social changes in communication with the society, how far you have become in the society, and that is in an individual. That is called what is known as adolescence. Now the adolescent, the individuals are vulnerable, highly attractive, easily acquiring. So highly vulnerable to group pressure because your friends, you together form what is called a peer group. That group is very important, whether it's the right one or the wrong one, accordingly the person's intellectual power, the person's behavior in the society all develop. So adolescents are vulnerable to group pressure, that is called peer group pressure. And certain individuals during that period are pushed into what is called actually the mud. What is the mud here? Pushed into experimenting drugs and then alcohol. They started just playfully. Then once they started, then they are attracted by the drug and alcohol. So they are fully engaged in drug abuse and alcohol. That's why that period is dynamic period, very important period, highly vulnerable, that is easily getting any abnormal, that is harmful, that is also the behavior. Now by educating the people, that is the youth persons, and giving proper guidance, we would enable such individuals at this period to say no drugs and alcohol and to follow what is called the healthy life. It is in the hands of the parents, in the hands of the teachers, even the individual, that is himself or herself, then only they can just follow a healthy life. So in this chapter we have to study about the abuse of alcohol and also drug abuse. Now first we'll take what is called actually the role of alcohol, how far it is affecting you, whether it is a stimulant or what is called a depressant, whether it stimulates the brain or suppresses the brain activity. Let's see now. Now let us talk about alcohol abuse. Now abusing alcohol and drugs, and both are actually integrated together, causing damage to the mind. That's why these drugs are normally called psychoactive drugs, because they affect the brain, changing the behavior. Hence called psychoactive drug, either alcohol or any other drugs. So alcohol is a psychoactive drug, changing the behavior of an individual by affecting the nervous system, which acts on the brain and affects person's mind and behavior. That's why it's called as actually psychoactive drug. Changes the person's mind and also behavior. It's not a stimulant. It is not an activator. It is a depressant because it slows down the activity of the central nervous system, the brain and other parts of the nervous system. That's why it's called as a depressant. Not actually, that's a stimulant. So most of the people are thinking that it is a stimulant, but it's not a stimulant, it's only a depressant. Then what is alcoholism? Then how to prevent it? What is a treatment for it? So it is the inability to control drinking. That is called alcoholism. What is the reason? Due to physical and emotional dependence on alcohol. Thinking that only by taking alcohol he will be alright. That is called physical and emotional dependence. The body is in a state of just need the presence of what is called alcohol. And then emotional. Just normally the emotional behavior is because of the brain. The brain is thinking that, the brain of a person is thinking that he needs or she needs alcohol continuously. That's why it's called as alcoholism. Inability to control drinking due to physical and emotional dependence on alcohol. What is the treatment for that one? There are so many treatments available. The first one, counseling by healthcare professional. That's the main one first. If it is not possible to treat, we have to go for detoxification program in a hospital. We have many detoxification centers available in government as well as private hospitals. There they are just detoxifying the effect of alcohol. Another medical facility, detoxification program in a hospital or other medical facility to treat the persons. And also medications are available. That is medicines. Medication means intake of medicines orally or through injections to reduce the desire to take alcohol or what is called the drug. So medications are available to reduce the desire to intake of alcohol and the drug. These are all three major programs or major methods to prevent what is called actually alcoholism or alcohol abuse in the form of what is called treatment. This is about alcohol abuse. We have to go further about what is called the drug abuse. What are the different drugs normally abused? Though they are medicinal value, when they are taken in higher doses, that is called drug abuse. What is the meaning of drug abuse? What are the main drugs which are abused? The different types of classification. Now the next one, drug abuse or abuse of drugs. Normally the drugs are used for clinical purpose to treat a disease. For example, or used as a painkiller. Say an example of morphine. It is used as a painkiller during surgery. But the same one which is taken in a higher dosage, then other than the purpose, for example painkiller, then it becomes what is called drug abuse. So, the intake of drugs for a purpose other than their medical use in an amount, extra amount or extra dose and frequency, taking just frequently, that impair, unable to repair. Impair, we cannot just repair it. That impair, the three P's, the physical, the physiological and psychological function, that's the brain functions of the body, that is called just drug abuse. That's why I say triple P. So drug abuse affect the functions of physical, physiological and psychological functions of the body. So anything which is taken more than the normal level, other than the normal purpose, normally the drugs are used for clinical purpose, but people are using it for other purposes, mainly for just for hallucination, for just for actually, say an example of narcotic method, narcotic processes, or stimulants or depressants, etc. So we have the different types of drugs. The drugs are grouped under different headings. 1. Opioids. 2. Cannabinoids. 3. Coca-alkaloids, commonly called cocaine. Then 4. Barbiturates. So the barbiturates are depression that depresses the activity of the brain. Amphetamines, that is actually a stimulant, then LSD. So LSD, lysergic diethylamide. Lysergic diethylamide. That is also nowadays used by the people. So they are normally in the international market of just many crores. That's why people are smuggling these drugs from one country to another, spoiling the mind of particularly the college students and school students. They are the main targets for them when compared to the adults. The main targets for drug abuse, for selling the drugs for abuse, and mainly the school people at the higher secondary level or at the level of what is called high school level or mainly the college level. The main target people are the college students. Now let's see about opioids. What is its use? How it is abused? What are the examples for opioids, like that one by one? Opioids. These are the chemicals which have the ability to bind with certain receptors found in the central nervous system as well as in the gastrointestinal tract. And these receptors found in the central nervous system and the gastrointestinal tract are called opioid receptors. By binding with these receptors, they can have certain what is called activities because they suppress the activity, not stimulating the activity. Now, what are the examples for opioids? Number one, heroin is commonly called as a SMART. It is chemically diacetyl morphine. This is the chemical name. What is the physical nature? It is a colorless, white and bitter to taste. Crystalline compound. How is it prepared? It is normally produced by the acetylation of morphine, another painkiller. Where does you normally get this morphine? So the morphine is extracted from the flowers of opium poppy plant. Opium poppy plant. That is what's called opium plant or poppy plant, we can say. So the flowers are the main source of morphine. By acetylation of morphine, you can get what's called heroin. What is its use? It is the most widely used painkiller in what is called the medical field. Either during surgery, even after surgery, to just release the pain, to kill the pain. We are using this morphine, the most available form of painkiller. What is called analgesics? Analgesics. They are also called narcotics. So commonly called analgesics. Analgesic tablet, you hear that one for just killing the pain. If you have any headache or anything, body pain, we are taking analgesic. The name is given because it reduces the pain or kills the pain. So it is having analgesic activity. That's why it's an example for analgesics. It is also called as narcotics, the one which is used to reduce the pain, hence called narcotics. So the morphine is normally used as a strong painkiller during surgery. It is a narcotic drug. It is an analgesic drug. Now this is actually the use, clinical use. But people are using for some other purpose. It is the most widely abused narcotic drug, painkiller drug. That is what is called analgesics. So it is not a stimulant, it is a depressant because it slows down the activity of the various body functions. That's why we are using for painkiller. It is somewhat sedative in nature, suppressing the brain activity and making the person to be relieved from the pain. But while it is being used more than the normal level, then it is called abuse of drug. So it is a depressant because it slows down the activity of body functions. When a person is taking more than the normal level, the body functions are being stopped. Almost all the physiological functions are being stopped or abnormal. That's about the role of opioids. Now let's go to the next one, cannabinoids. The next one is cannabinoids. It's a group of chemicals obtained from the Indian hemp plant called cannabis sativa. That's the name of the plant, common name, that's Indian hemp. Now we have natural cannabinoids. These are the source of some other components. Natural cannabinoids are the source of That means these are all the components included under the cannabinoids. Example. So natural cannabinoids are the source of one, marijuana, then ganja, hashish, then karas. So these are all the natural cannabinoids. Actually these are all the source. These are all, sorry, I made a mistake. These are all actually obtained from natural cannabinoids. That's why I have written here, natural cannabinoids are the source of these components. They are all considered as what is called abused drug. Now what is their function? They affect the nervous system. How? They interfere the transport of a particular neurotransmitter. We have a number of neurotransmitters in the body. One such is called acetylcholine. We have sympathy. Another one dopamine. So the dopamine is released by specific nerve cells. When there is a problem that when we have the tremors in the body, even just a nodding of the head, that is dopamine is released by specific neurons. When these neurons are affected, we have what is called syndrome affecting the people. So they interfere the transport of the neurotransmitter at the what is called synapse, particularly the neurotransmitter dopamine, and has a potent stimulating action. It is a stimulant, unlike what we have the first one, opioids. These are all the depressants. Now it's a stimulant. It has a stimulating action on the central nervous system, and also it stimulates the production of more energy and a sense of euphoria. Euphoria is a common sense what a person develops during alcoholism or hallucinations or any other drug abuse. What is euphoria? Exaggerated temporary feeling of well-being. The person is thinking that after taking the medicine he is in a well-being state. So he is without worries. He is thinking that it's a normal condition but it's well-being. So showing some kind of attitude, that is called euphoria. Okay, always talking, then showing some kind of extraordinary response, etc. So that is what we have with reference to cannabinoids. They produce what is called euphoria. So the natural cannabinoids are the source of the four components what I mentioned, the different forms what we obtain from the cannabinoids, the examples. Okay. Now let's see the next one, that is what is called cocaine. Third drug commonly abused is cocaine. It is commonly called coca alkaloids because it's an alkaloid extracted from the plant. So it is a white powder. Coca is a white powder obtained from the leaves of one plant, Erythroxylum coca. Now this commonly called as coke or crack. It causes serious physical and psychological problems, including hallucination. Hallucination is nothing but you know that one, illusion of seeing, hearing something which is not present. So it normally distorts one's way of hearing, seeing and also just a feeling. So something is there, he is thinking that but it's nothing is there. That is called the hallucination property. The substances are called hallucinogens. Okay, so another one, paranoia. There is another activity because of cocaine. What is paranoia? It is a mental disorder with the delusions of persecution. Delusion means thinking always negatively. This is called delusion. A person having taken his cocaine is thinking always negatively. That is called delusion. That's why it's called a mental disorder. Now what are the other plants which are having hallucinogenic properties, which are acting as hallucinogens? So hallucinogens are substances I mentioned, and the hallucination is a process. Hallucinogen is a substance. Hallucination is a process. So other plants with the hallucinogenic properties. Number one, atropha belladonna. This one produces what's called atropine and alkaloid, which is normally used as a muscle pain reliever. Then another one, datura metal. From the datura plant also we have received. It belongs to the Solanaceae family, and from the leaves as well as from the fruit, what is called the thorn apple commonly called. From that one we can extract the alkaloid which affects the central nervous system. People normally used to take this datura, what is called the fruit, the apple fruit, thorn fruit, we can see, and for just suicide attempt. It doesn't cause death but affects the central nervous system, causing some sort of problem to the brain. Central nervous system causing problems to the mind and behavior. That's about what we call cocaine. The next one is tobacco. It is used as a stimulant. It's being used for making cigarettes, so it is smoked and also used in the case of, for example, along with betel nuts, so it can be chewed, and also used as a snuff, what is called the dust, nose dust, that's called the snuff. So what are the alkaloids present in tobacco? It contains a main alkaloid, nicotine. Along with it contains carbon monoxide and another product, tars. Now what is its effect? It increases the content of carbon monoxide in the blood and reduces the concentration of heme-bound oxygen in the blood. Thus causes the deficiency of oxygen in the body. Increases the carbon monoxide content and decreases the oxygen content in the body, particularly in the blood. So causing deficiency of oxygen in the body. Now it also stimulates the adrenal gland to release the two hormones, adrenaline and noradrenaline. These are the stimulants stimulating the activity. When these hormones are secreted more than the normal level, they increase the blood pressure and also the heartbeat. That's about what we have the effect of tobacco and the alkaloid present, the nicotine causes some damage. Now what are the other drugs which are being abused? Amphetamines. It is a stimulant. Methamphetamines. It is a stimulant. Barbiturates. It is a depressant. It lowers the activity of the nervous system. Tranquilizes. So the tranquilizes also what is called a depressant. And the LSD. Shortly with acronym LSD, lysergic acid diethylamide. That is a component, just what we have in the case of LSD, the full name for that one. Now, what are the uses of these drugs? These drugs are normally used as a medicine for the treatment of a number of mental disorders, particularly what we have, that is depressions and also insomnia. Insomnia is nothing but sleepless night. A person is unable to sleep. That condition is called insomnia, and that is being treated with the help of these chemicals or the drugs. What I mentioned at the heading, there is other drugs abused. That's all about what we have the different types of drugs. The last one I have to represent in the form of table column, the classification of drugs based on the activity. They act as stimulants, they act as depressants, or act as narcotics, act as tranquilizers, or act as, for example, actually hallucinations, or act as cannabis. So hallucination is not given, it is given under the heading only, just the example. So we have cannabis, and also what we have the last one, that is we have the LSD and other components coming under hallucination. These are all the hallucinating agents or hallucinogenic agents. So we can see in the form of tabular column the last one, under this what we got the different drugs which are abused. Now the classification of drugs based on the property they have or based on the functions they perform. Number one, stimulants. The examples are amphetamines, cocaine, nicotine and tobacco. They accelerate the activity of brain. Stimulants. Then depressants. Normally these drugs slows down the activity of brain. What are the examples? Alcohol is a depressant I mentioned. Tranquilizers is an example. Barbiturates is example for There is depressant which acts on the brain activity and also decreases the heartbeat rate. So slows down the activity of brain. Now narcotics or analgesics. So they are normally used as actually a medicine to kill pain, painkillers. Sorry. Morphine, opium. These two are actually analgesics or narcotics. They act as a depressant on the central nervous system, slows down the activity of the nervous system. Then cannabis, I mentioned about marijuana, commonly known as a ban, ganja, charas, hashish, etc. All affect mainly there is a cardiovascular system along with the nervous system. Then hallucinogens. These are actually again chemicals like lysogenic acid diethylamide, that is LSD, and cyclidine. So they distort the way one sees, hears and feels. What's the meaning? It is an illusion of seeing or hearing something which is not present. This is what's called hallucinogen. Hallucination process, the substances are called hallucinogens. So someone is seeing or hearing something which is not actually present. He is saying that something is there. Actually like that, some sound is heard, like that he or she is always seeing like that. And that is what is called normally hallucinogens. That is the effect, hallucinating effect. Distorts the way one sees, hears and feels, just away from the normal hearing, normal seeing, and also you see that one other feelings, other distortion, just away from the normal conditions, broken. So these are the different types of drugs. They are classified based on the functions and the property they have. Because with that I concluded the abuse of drugs. We have to go for addiction and also what we have the treatment. Addiction, dependence, how to cure it. What is addiction, what is dependence, how to prevent that one. Either alcohol, actually addiction or any other thing. I mentioned already what is alcoholism. It is the inability to control drinking because of physical and emotional, that is dependence on a drink or alcohol. So let's pass on to the next one, addiction, in the next class. Okay, thank you.